We're back on Politics Nation with new details about the mysteries of will it Mitt Romney and Bain Capital. Questions just don't go away. The Associated Press is reporting today that Mitt Romney met with Bain partners after he claims he left the company. Quote, Romney continued to oversee his partnership stakes even as he disengaged from the firm, personally signing or approving a series of corporate and legal documents through the spring of 2001, according to financial reports. Now, this new report adds to a pile of mounting evidence that contradicts Romney's claim that he left Bain in 1999. In July of 2000, Romney submitted paperwork to the SEC listing himself as CEO and the president of Bain. In 2001, Romney's SEC filing said the same thing, president and CEO of Bain. But his financial disclosure filed last year, signed by Romney, says, quote, since February 11, 1999, Mr. Romney has not had an active role with any Bain Capital entity and has not been involved in the operations of any Bain Capital entity in any way. And he continues to deny that he had any role in Bain after he left to run the Salt Lake City Olympics.
I had no association with the management of Bain Capital after February of 1999. That's when I left the firm. I'm very pleased with the experience I had with the firm, but as everyone knows, I went off to run the Olympics. For 3 years, I was there full-time. After that, I came back and ran in Massachusetts for governor. I have no role with regards to Bain Capital after February of '99.
Joining me now is Jack Gillum. He's the investigative reporter who broke the story for the Associated Press today, and Aaron McPike, political reporter for Real Clear Politics, an often frequent helper of mine on the show. Jack, let me ask you, how would you summarize what you found in your investigation?
Well, my colleague and I, Steve Braun at the AP, decided that once there was a lot of confusion swirling around about Romney's time from '99 to 2001, we said, well, let's go to the documents. Let's look at it on paper. And we downloaded a trove of these documents from, as you referenced, from the Securities and Exchange Commission. And long story short, we found dozens of them that showed Mitt Romney's name attached to Bain Investments, listing him as the sole shareholder, sole director, president, and CEO. Now, we looked a little further and found that his signature was also attached on about 10 of these documents, in which he had a beneficial, what's called a beneficial ownership stake in some of these investments. Now, when we had spoken to some people who were aware of the governor's meetings with Bain at the time, it was less about managerial decisions and more about his transition away from the company. But at the same time, I think these documents raised more questions than answers of what really happened during that period from '99 to 2001, when, as you say, on this personal financial disclosure document, he says that he was essentially sayonara as of February 1999.
Now, in your report, you wrote that, and I'm quoting from the report today on Associated Press, Romney made repeated trips to Salt Lake City and Boston where he met at times with his former partners. A legal expert familiar with Romney's talks with Bain partners told AP Romney did not relinquish his Bain ownership after taking the Olympics role, but that Romney took care to avoid the day-to-day role of a corporate manager, which really means he really didn't totally leave in 1999 and have nothing to do with the company.
Right. I think what this raises for us when we talk with these experts and when we spoke with people at the time is it shows, if anything, that Romney was transitioning, if not already had transitioned his role out of Bain. And some experts we've talked to said that there was certainly a difference between being an owner or having ownership stake in investments versus running the day-to-day operations of a company. And what compounded that was some of the documents we found showed that Romney had a power of attorney, that is, that Bain's lawyers lawyers had some power of attorney over deciding some of these investments. So again, I think for us it raises more questions than answers, particularly as when we've talked to campaign officials, they have been reluctant to share, to give us a full picture of what happened during that period from 99 to 01.
Now, Aaron, as we go through the weeds of his finances, why does this even matter? Why is this important in the politics of 2012, whether he left in 1999, as he said, or whether he did not leave? What does this mean to the average voter in terms of why this should even be an issue?
It contributes to this pattern of secrecy that we've seen Mitt Romney show over and over again. And as Jack pointed out, it raises more questions. And that will be very important because that means that this conspiracy over Bain essentially is not over, that reporters are going to continue to investigate this until we get to the bottom of it and have final answers. And that means that Bain Capital and Romney's involvement with it will stay in the press and in ads from the Obama campaign, likely until Election Day, and that's not really a good thing for Mitt Romney because that is not at all what he wants to be talking about. He wants to be talking about President Obama's record, and that's pretty much it.
But also, is it not true, Aaron, that a lot of the things in terms of outsourcing and closing of certain businesses that cost people their jobs happened after 99, and he was saying he had nothing to do with it, didn't benefit from it, didn't gain from it, so he's trying to really adjust the time so he can not have any responsibility at all for some of the things that Bain has been accused of doing to workers?
He's certainly trying to distance himself from that. We've seen that over and over again. But some of the documents that have come out have shown that his signature is on some of these deals with some of these companies. So he may have had some sort of advisory role, even if it wasn't in day-to-day. And so, yes, he could bear some responsibility for that. And I think that is the key. Those are the questions that are raised still.
Now, let me go back to you a minute, Jack. A recent USA Today poll shows more people think the president is more honest and trustworthy than Romney. Who is more honest and trustworthy? The poll raised the question. Mitt Romney, 39%, President Obama, 47%. Your article, though it raises more questions than it answers, certainly doesn't help Mr. Romney in this category.
Well, I think the thing that we have to answer here, or that we have to look at further, is what regulatory documents and what interactions can we find during this period that really shed light on this time from 99 to 2001, which is, if we've just been talking about, this was a period during which a couple of companies, including GS Steel down in Georgetown, South Carolina, had fell into bankruptcy, in which there were other reports of outsourcing either to Mexico or other countries. And I think that trying to figure out Romney's exact role during that period, whether he was had an ownership stake or whether he had day-to-day operations, which some folks we talked to said he necessarily did not have, I think is the key to figuring out that those lost years, so to speak.
Aaron McPike and Jack Gillum, thank you both for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up, a judge takes Michael Jackson's children away from their grandmother. Who is the new guardian? And what does it all mean for those kids? But first, do we hear wedding bells for a certain North Korean dictator? It's your summer break. Next.